I want to talk to you about the RSPCA. To understand how the RSPCA works today, it's very important to understand the history. Apparently, they only like to operate by tradition and not by charity rules and regulations. They were established in 1827, and what they did was they ran around the country gang busting, people gambling, making money off of dog fighting or cockfighting. And you know, the government at the time thought it was such a wonderful idea to bring in cash to the crown. Then in 1829 the police followed suit, copying the ranking structure, and they were doing the opposite. They were going directly for people to bust them to give money to the crown again. And so they worked together, always doing things. And so if the RSPCA needed extra backup or help, they'd call the police. The police would call the RSPCA. And it still works like this today. So if a police officer doesn't like you, he will call the RSPCA, and they will both go in and pounce on you and steal your animals. I've had a very terrible crime happen to me, and I've been trying to get justice and find out why injustice has been served. There's been a lot of errors that has occurred in the civil case, and the civil case hasn't really been conducted properly. I had no case conference, and there was no passing of all documents, no discussion of all documents. You know, if two people are convicted of a murder, and if those two people prepare the trial bundles for the courts, they're obviously going to exclude witnesses that will convict them of seeing them commit a murder, and exclude evidence as well that a murder has happened, such as the murder weapon. This is what has happened in my court case. Documents have been put on this court which completely obstruct and pervert justice that were not given to me to address, which instantly made the case no merit. Yet legally the addressment of the case hasn't happened, because I've had the warrant used actually on me 2 times. The first time I'm kept detained, and my animals are just randomly stolen by the RSPCA, and I'm threatened and blackmailed to a very high degree to try and sign them over. However, very early on in the progress, a police officer shoved a pocketbook in my face and forced me to sign this, and he has an enormous signature of duress this day, and legally a search of duress must be called off. And that is evidence that has been denied the courts, is this pocketbook on this raid day. So the RSPCA have completely lied in a court, saying I gave them my dogs and like I wasn't contained, because a report has been put on which has actually prevented police officers testifying to the actual events that happened on the day of the first warrant usage not given to me. And what's really terrible is in the courtroom, I've actually, the only one police officer that's standing there lying, saying I let him in, he has actually controlled me in my living room. I said he had a walkie-talkie in his hand, and he denied it vigorously. He had no walkie-talkie, and I insisted vigorously in that courtroom, with the judge screaming at me to like shut up or whatever, but I kept on and on until he confessed he did have a walkie-talkie in his hand, and that's how he was communicating with outside RSPCA personnel in order. Then I'm ordered to go to the door, and the outside police officer on the other side lets me out. And so this is quite terrible that he's saying in courtroom he's held this warrant. He's gone on a raid, and then he's held the warrant. It's ridiculous to go on a raid and then not give the warrant and stand there in a courtroom and say he's held it. That's ridiculous. So that proves already in itself it's been used 2 times on me, just not given. That's ludicrous. And the court case is actually proceeded without even validating the warrant. I need it validated 2 times, the first application of it and then the actual execution of it, because between the first instance of its usage, there has to be another application for a warrant, and for a new reason. And of course there is no new reason. The day they stole my animals, the inspector decided he was going to give me a improvement notice. Well, to raid someone with a warrant and give an improvement notice is no reason to get a warrant, and to execute a warrant just for an improvement notice is also ludicrous. So I've had some very, very serious court errors going on, and the only help person I've had to help is David Grimm, and there's been a lack of communication and working together with me appropriately, because he lives in Germany and he is an American citizen. He is unfamiliar with the UK rules and procedures, just like I was in a civil case against the RSPCA and the police, because it's a crime. I have no charges, and so I cannot even get a solicitor to help me, because it doesn't seem like anybody's ever prosecuted the RSPCA and the police. So it's been a very difficult case, but I'm hoping to get justice, because right now I'm in the position of paying for a no-charge warrant to be executed on myself, have my own dog stolen, and civil justice denied on the validity of a warrant. And as a result of this, the judge has gone ahead and given my house to the RSPCA, and I'm supposed to pay the police to get a warrant to execute upon myself, and I do hope to get justice.